I like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. Peace and safety to the hopefully elect all the Akim scattered across the four corners, pushing his word in sincerity and in truth. This is 2 Peter chapter 1 and verse 20. Knowing this first, that no prophecy of the scripture is of any private interpretation. And in this edition of private interpretation, the prophecy I'm going to go into is Revelations chapter 18 and verse 4. Because the private interpretation of this particular chapter, all right, the way we was taught from our elders is that this is referring to America. Okay, this is referring to America, and I'm gonna show you through the precepts. All right, I'm gonna give you the correct interpretation. All right, through the precepts and the proper understanding of what this chapter and this particular verse that I'm gonna go into in this lesson is referring to. So this is Revelation 18 and verse 4. And I heard another voice from heaven. And that voice is the voice of the Lord. And I'm going to show you through the precepts. Saying, come out of her. Come out of her. And the her is referring to the nation of Edom. All right. Every man, woman, and child. The so-called white race. Okay. Which are referred to as Babylon. The daughter of Babylon. Okay. So it says, saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins. And that's the proof that it's referring to people and not a place. Because a place can't sin, only people sin. And that ye receive not of her plagues. And like I said, a private interpretation that we always taught from our elders that this is referring to America. All right. And at one point you had certain camps, GOCC, all right, being that they was pushing that doctrine that this is referring to America. They deceived people to leave and flee into Egypt, all right? And it was all because of this private interpretation that I'm going to go into and give you the correct understanding of, that this is not referring to a place, man. It's not referring to America, all right? This is referring to the whole nation of Edom, all right? The word Babylon, go back to the word confusion, all right? So without further ado, let's jump into it. In the first precept I want to get, because this is this Revelation 18 and 4, this is the elect literally being beamed up into the chariots, all right? This is not the way GOCC teach it is that this is referring to philosophies, all right, come out of the way of the so-called white man thinking or whatsoever, all right? And this is America and we have to flee, okay? So, and the way that we was taught from our elders, all right, at Great Millstone, was that this chapter is referring to America. This is us literally being delivered from America, all right? If that interpretation of what we was taught that this chapter is referring to, all right, this would mean that this is the elect being delivered out only out of America. But I'm going to show you that that's not the case. So I'm going to get the first precept. It's in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 and verse 16. And it says, for the Lord, Yahweh Shai himself shall descend from heaven with a shout. And that's that voice that spoke of in Revelation 18 and 4 that said, come out of her, my people. All right. That's the voice of the Lord, Yahweh Shai. With the voice of the archangel and with the trump of the power, and the dead in Yahweh Shai shall rise first. And this is the resurrection. All right. Like I say, this is literal. All right. The dead in Yahweh Shai going to be resurrected. All right. The elect. Okay. And that's not only going to happen in America. Okay. This is going to happen through the four corners of the earth. Why? Because we were scattered through the four corners of the earth. Okay. So verse 17, then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in a cloud in the chariots. All right, because this cloud is metaphoric for chariots, man, symbolic for chariots. All right, and like I say, this is literal. All right, and this is not only going to occur in America. This is going to occur throughout the four winds of the earth, and I'm going to give you the precept and prove that. So it says, then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them, all right, with those who was resurrected from the dead, all right, the angels and Yahushua, in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, in the chariots. And so shall we ever be with the Lord. So if Revelation 18 is 4, all right, is referring to America only, okay, that means that this prophecy is only going to occur in America. All right. Now let's get the next precept. We're going to go back to the book of Revelation, chapter 11 and verse 12. Revelations chapter 11 and verse 12, and it reads, and they heard a great voice from heaven. And like we read in Revelation 4 and in 1 Thessalonians 4, in Revelation 18, Salakia, in 1 Thessalonians 4, that voice is Yahushua, all right, the Lord. That's the voice that the elect heard. And they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come up hither. And they ascended up into heaven in a cloud, in the chariots. All right. Like I say, this is what the so-called Christians might call the rapture. Okay. But like I say, the private interpretation, all right, of Revelation 18 and 4 is that that's referring to America. And if that's the case, all right, this prophecy that I'm reading here in Revelation 11 is only going to occur in America. All right. So it says, come up hither, and they ascended, referring to the elect, up into heaven in a cloud, in the chariot, and their enemies beheld them. All right, meaning the other nations, all right, our enemies, starting with the so-called white man, is going to witness us literally, all right, the elect literally be ascend up to heaven into a chariot. All right, like I say, this is literal. Now I'm going to get the next precept, and this is the main point of what I want to bring out. Matthew's chapter 24 and verse 30. We're going to start at verse 30. And it says, and then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, in the chariots, okay? And then shall all tribes of the earth mourn, all right? Because this is referring to all nations. They're going to witness the deliverance of the elect, man. Okay, that's why it reads in Revelation 11 and 12 that their enemies, all right, like I say, starting with the so-called white man, the nation of Edom, Babylon, all right, is going to be hell. It's going to be hell, meaning they're going to witness, all right, the elect ascend into the chariots, man, be delivered. So it says, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the cloud of heaven with power and with great glory. Verse 31, and this is the main point. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Now, through the private interpretation of Revelation 18, that deliverance only can be referring to America and not the four winds. All right. And that's more proof that Babylon is not a place, it's a people. Okay. Now I'm going to read this again. This is Matthew 24 and 31. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Okay, so this is the deliverance that's spoke of in Revelation 18 and verse 4. All right, so now we're gonna get it with we're gonna read it with understanding, okay, without any private interpretations, okay. And I'm gonna show you that this is not referring to a place. All right, Babylon is symbolic to the nation of Edom. It is metaphoric for the nation of Edom, meaning confusion. All right, that's who's going to fall when the Lord's return. Okay, when the Lord returned, the so-called white man, woman, and child, his whole power structure is going to fall. All right, Babylon is falling. Is falling. Okay, so this is Revelation 18 and 4. All right, and the private interpretation of this whole chapter. All right, the way we was taught from our elders is that this is referring to America, a place. All right, and through the precepts we just read in Matthew 24, all right, verse 30, the Lord himself said he's going to deliver his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven into the other. All right, not only from America. All right, so this is Revelation 18 and 4. And I heard another voice from heaven, and we know that voice is referring to the Lord, Yahweh Shai, saying, come out of her. And we know the her is referring to who? Babylon, the nation of Edom. All right, the daughter of Babylon. Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins. And like I say, this is literal, all right? Referring to 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, Revelation chapter 11. Ye be not partakers of her sins. And that's proof that is referring to people and not a place, all right? Only people can sin, all right? And that ye receive not of her plagues, the wrath that the Lord is bringing, all right? So, like I say, through the precepts, all right. As you can see, this is not referring to a place, all right. The deliverance of the elect is not going to only occur in America, all right. It's going to occur through the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other, all right. And I hope you brothers was edified. And with that, I'm gonna say shalom.